Alright guys, welcome back to Just Figures. Today's going to be part 2 of the building the Caro Gunso Plama model kit right here. So in the last episode we had sanded and primed all of our pieces. Here is one for example. It's now this nice gray color. It's pretty smooth. And in this episode, we are going to be painting them. These are the paints that I'm going to be using. They're testers. I know some people may have a problem with that, but it seems to be fine with me. We're going to be using a metallic silver for some of his weapons, a nice red, some white, a nice little yellow, a green, as well as some black. Now we're going to be mixing a few of these colors in order to get the specific tint that we want on the figure. So with all that being said, we're going to move to the next part where I show you how I will be painting this. Alright, so the way we're going to be painting these is with an airbrush right here. And this right here is a double action airbrush. Now there's a couple other airbrushes. The other one that I do know of is a single action, and what that means, you press down and it shoots air and paint at the same time. A double action airbrush, you will press down, which will release the air, and then the more you pull back is how much paint gets released. So yeah. So obviously this won't paint by itself. We have to also have a handy dandy air compressor. Now don't mind this tape, I only keep it here because it tends to vibrate right off the dang thing. But we'll have an air compressor, which you can hear is kind of loud. And right here, we have our little cord that is going to be attached to our airbrush right here. Get nice and tight, and then you'll hear the compressor go off, which keeps a little bit of air inside of it so we can have our blast. As you can see, pressing it right here. And the paint, give me a second. The paint will be going inside here. You can mix it up in here, or you can mix it up in a separate vial or a little container. And so that is pretty much the basics. You're going to want to have, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, some thinner, because we are using enamel paints, and we're going to want to thin the paints so they're nice and thin and they spray right on. And yeah. Alright, so I am going to mix up my paint for the skin tone of the guy using a little bit of green and a little bit of gray. And yeah, I'm going to show you how to airbrush the first piece, and then I will just be going to town on the rest. Alright, so let's get to it. Okay. Now that we got the color that we want, it looks really green on here, that's because of the light. But next what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of our thinner. And we are going to take a medicine dropper. Soak some up. Just add a couple drops to this. This is a lot, so I'm going to add a good bit. And this will thin it up, obviously. We're going to mix up the thinner. You want it to be real runny. Yep, now we got a very liquidy consistency right here. Alright, so next, we're going to take our, let's see, I'm trying to get the cap off the airbrush. I'm going to take our airbrush and very carefully pour the liquid into it, or the paint. So next, what you need to do is you gotta have your mask, right? You can't, so enamel's like super bad for you to be spraying without a mask. And so you're really gonna want to have your mask. And so if I start sounding funny, it's because the mask is going to be on my face while I'm painting. So it's gonna be pretty muted just because of how the mask, you know, presents it. But at least I won't die. Okay, so here we are with the piece. What we're going to be doing is lightly coating it. You don't want to really keep it on there. You want to have a nice distance. When you start spraying, you want to just kind of lightly coat it. You want to keep your brush moving at all times. Otherwise, the paint starts to coagulate and then starts to run, and you really don't want that because it really ruins the paint job. You just want to do this a couple times. Yep, my glasses fell off. You just want to do this a couple times till you got a nice overall coat of the color that you want. You can move on to the next piece. And yep, there you go. That is, let's see if I can get it to focus. That's the first arm piece done. And once you're done with that, you just go ahead, stick it, let it dry for a little bit. And yeah, move on to the next piece. So, gonna be speeding this up, and I'll see y'all after I'm done. Alright, we are done painting the figures. I've let it dry for a couple of hours. And what we're going to do now is apply some clear coat on the pieces that do not need the finer details.